It's May the 4th. Yay, Star Wars. Everybody be happy that it's Star Wars, because there's just not enough Star Wars going around. We gotta have a national holiday for it. Let's get them some free advertising and remind people that Star Wars exists. I have been working on a little project that I call the Star Wars Rough Cut. I think plenty of people probably have seen the Star Wars Was Saved in the Edit, which is a great video, and it inspired me to put together this rough cut. I just kind of wanted to see the movie cut the way that it's said to have been cut, and I was really surprised that nobody had done it before. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll just do that real quick. And that was a few months ago. So I've gone ahead, I've put it together using some footage from the Despecialized edition, which is fantastic. The Deleted Magic fan-made documentary. Kind of just stole a lot of what was already edited in there. Yeah, this doesn't need much introduction. This is not a really complicated concept. Let's get right into it. As you can see, plenty of cuts. Something I did right from the get-go was get the old Ralph McQuarrie Star Wars logo and added the word "the" to it, because I always thought that was cute. And I was actually pretty impressed with the Ralph McQuarrie logo. You know, I needed it bigger. I mean, I've done a lot of like vector tracing of logos, and just the shape and consistency that he used through this, I can see why he liked it more. Yeah, it's weird. It's not the icon that is the Star Wars logo of today. But right after that, yeah, I did this a few months ago, so I don't know if I have the script sitting on my computer anymore, and it mentions Sith Lords. I didn't know that. So also said Imperial Starfleet. You can't say Starfleet, Mr. Lucas. So I guess the first thing that I did was I went over the behind the scenes stuff, and I went over the video about how Star Wars was saved in the edit, and I tried to mimic what I'd found out in there. So the big primary difference in the beginning that they talk about is all these deleted scenes with Luke, and how he's kind of like introduced early on. Doesn't seem that bad. It's really just that it's pointless. We don't learn anything about Luke in any of these scenes that we don't learn later on. I guess this is the legendary Tashi station that he complains about wanting to go to. But he's just, you know, he's wearing his Gilligan hat and he's got all these friends. They talk like they're in a Star Wars movie, you know, just sort of casual with, every once in a while somebody says a word that's completely made up, and they're kind of like an endearing little group of people, but you never see him again. I mean, you see Biggs again, but he's so tertiary. I haven't actually watched it, just sat back and watched the whole thing, so you guys would have to tell me if this way of introducing Luke makes the movie worse or better. The other big change we have between the final cut and the original, as I understand it, is the scene on the Death Star, the big battle at the end. Originally, they weren't about to blow up the Rebel base, so there felt like there was less of a threat. Now I just took the current edit that was done for Deleted Magic, just because I ran out of time. I wanted to have this done for May 4th this year. I might update this and do my own, because this is, Deleted Magic came out just in low quality only. But yeah, this cut's not exactly perfect, but it just is so complicated because there's people like dying and then being talked to out of order, and there's just a lot of work that needs to go into that. The Deleted Magic documentary also included this war footage. I don't know if that Gilchrist guy did this edit of the war footage, or maybe that was from some Star Wars behind the scenes materials. I've always wondered what that experience must have been like for the producers back in the day when they were seeing Star Wars for the first time, and there's just like random war footage popped up in it. I wish that I could have taken out all of the special effects, or just replaced them with the original blue screen stuff, but anytime I could use anything like this work print type material, I did. I think the pre-special effects stuff got used the most as they're getting pulled into the Death Star. Unfinished model shots like this, it's just really cute. I'm gonna go ahead and admit this is probably my worst edit that I've ever done, because I wanted it to be bad, so I was purposely lazy. This shot here is clearly when Han Solo turns around and hits something. He says that on camera right here. It's not from behind, but I still wanted to use all the blue screen shots that I could. There's also moments where, for reasons that I can't really explain, I just left in, like, just to kind of give you more of that feeling of like watching something really rough. It's sort of like watching the movie while also watching behind the scenes. And rest assured, any chance that I could get original voices.
I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic...
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away.
I I love the original voice stuff. There's one scene where I wish that I had it and I don't. It's after they capture the Millennium Falcon. Oh my god. Every time I look at this, I find a frame that I didn't cut out of there. That's just one frame and it's gonna bother me. Why is it still there? It's like it's one thing to leave in these silly, you know, moments like that because I wanted it to have that in there, but if it's just a single frame of Tarkin just standing there, ugh, that's just lazy editing, Timmy. Oh, and I should mention, I've just started a podcast with some friends of mine. They had this idea of rewriting the prequel trilogy and talking out the entire story-making process on a podcast. So that's what we're doing. It's actually starting today as of the premiere of this video. There will be links in the description. It's called The Rewriter's Room. And oh, what's this? It's an audio clip from the podcast. Because this is my biggest problem, is I think that the writing of the Jedi in the prequels was lazy.
Of course.
Because the Jedi were set up. That's all. That's the whole commercial. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. This is the one spot where I wish I had the original voice, because this has always bothered me.
Lied to us.
I told you she would never consciously betray the rebellion.
Like, he's clearly still talking. He's gesturing like a Power Ranger under that hood. It's so bad without the dialogue. This is one of those moments where, dare I say, Star Wars was not perfect. Like, it looks like he's got a hand trimmer.
Terminate.
I really think the thing that everybody's going to enjoy the most is just switching between finished high production value stuff to the behind the scenes with full sound effects and music. I went and got the Aeronauts video of this scene, whatever it's called. I mean, I liked it, but you know, I put the proper Chewbacca sounds in there. There wasn't quite enough material to fill out the whole movie with a constant barrage of behind the scenes and alternate takes and rough edits. So I wanted to have things in there that just kind of keep it engaging, because you've already seen Star Wars like a million times. Some of the things I put in there is just for yucks. I didn't put anything in there as a commentary on Star Wars, so for that scene in particular, it's like, this is what it's like without sound. I've gotten really good at my wipes. Look at that. The two kind of cuts you're gonna see in this is wipes, a la Star Wars, and the occasional flash. It was just a good way to cheat, cutting between two things that were somewhat similar. Sort of reminds you of behind the scenes when you see the little white boop. I thought about putting a little boop sound in there every time, but that would kind of annoying. It's also too bad that I don't have the original voice of Aunt Peru, because I've never understood why this lady was dubbed.
Oh, and he can't stay here forever. Most of his friends have gone.
What was happening that they had to get rid of her voice? She's just a kindly old lady. But of all the changes that happened in this cut, the one I had the most fun with, and the thing that I think is the most interesting, is Obi-Wan's Adobe. I've always thought that this scene had a weird pacing to it. This is clever editing. One of the hardest things about getting a cut where you are changing the flow of the dialogue and the flow of the scene, and you're rearranging all of that, the hardest part is getting somebody to move into the proper space where they should be in the next shot. And that's why there's like 5 shots after this message ends. So he's leaning forward, so you gotta cut away so he can sit back from a different shot. Cut to Luke, cut back to him. Now he's looking at him. So now cut to Luke. Now you can do that shot where he says, "You must come with me." Those are the kind of things where little lights go off in your head when you're an editor. I mean, you know that shot's from a different part of the conversation because you see this angle on him.
No, my father didn't fight in the wars. He was a navigator on a spice freighter.
That's what your uncle told
So
me.
that's how it starts off. Just him. No, my father, Darth Vader, wasn't Darth Vader. So now after Princess Leia mentions General Kenobi of the Clone Wars, it goes like this.
You fought in the Clone Wars?
Yes. I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
No, my father didn't fight in the wars. He was a navigator on a spice freighter.
I know why they did the cut, but this feels better in my brain because it doesn't feel as choppy anymore. There's probably more things like that that we aren't aware of. I think this is going to end up being a pretty good watch whether you're like a super fan or a casual fan. So I think a casual fan's going to get a kick out of these shots where the special effects haven't been put in, and a pretty dedicated fan is going to know that there was no shot of Aunt Beru preparing blue milk originally. There was one thing I did different than how Rocket Jump presented the theatrical cut, which was the placement of the Jabba the Hutt scene. In the Rocket Jump video to Alderaan.
The Jabba the Hutt scene?
Look, Jabba, next time you want to talk to me, come see me yourself.
So yeah, Luke's fried family set the course to Alderaan, and then Han Solo has a scene where he tells Jabba that he just picked up a new job. I mean, I don't know if the Rocket Jump guy is wrong. I guess I could consult the script. Okay, there's Greedo and Han talking. Look, if the ship's as fast as he's boasting, we ought to do well. Hey, I think that's where I put it. Yeah, so Rocket Jump's got it in there as the Jabba scene comes right after set the course to Alderaan. That made so little sense to me because in the scene where Han Solo talks to Jabba, he says, I just picked up a little charter, it's gonna make some good money. He's obviously referring to Luke and Ben. He also says, don't send one of your goons, which means the Greedo scene must have just happened. And he's not referring to anything that would have happened off camera, because that's the problem with the original Star Wars script, is that there was too much of it. It was just a thing happens, a reference to it happens, a reference to it happens. It was too much repetition of information. I might do a second go around at this because I didn't get it as tight as I want it in time for May 4th, but I need a break from Star Wars. Don't we all? So go ahead and enjoy that edit as it stands, and then I will make this piece of crap edit much tighter at a later date. I'm sure in time for May 4th of next year, because I'm not gonna stop messing with Star Wars. I have got so much Star Wars fan edit stuff that I've been working on, just messing with the McClunky scene. McClunky! As soon as I heard that they had added the word McClunky to the Disney Plus version of the Greedo scene, I just had to go and like check out the cut myself. It's a heavy-duty snout curl. Turned out it was from this shot when he says, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. He does a real snarly thing there. And they used computer science to get rid of the person that's walking across that lamp. And then they cropped it. Clever, but really something you should only be doing if you're a fan editor. I feel like I'm definitely going to do some sort of a Star Wars fan edit that maybe I'll take more seriously. The biggest one that I'm working on is a kind of like my Truman Show fan edit. I've been working on a cut that is just from Anakin's perspective, so you don't really see anything that he doesn't see. It's 3 hours long right now, this cut. Probably be cut down, and we'll see. I might do something with that. I don't know, there's just always something else you can do with a Star Wars fan edit. Kind of makes the whole thing seem a little inevitable. Not that killing children with a sword is ever acceptable.